Gang, gang, gang. It's your boy Ghetto. Salute to you. Hope you having a beautiful day. All praises to the Most High for all the blessings and the lessons. We not going to belabor the point, gang. You know what we here for, United States of JAiPAC. Smoking on that JAiPAC. Knew them boys from way back. About to get my A back. Got them words past say Jack. Oh, no, I'm playing. But listen, you about to not gonna belabor the point, gang. You know what we here for. It's gonna be a fun time. So let's go.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Congratulations, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, on your historic inauguration.
Congrats,
Biden,
fair
you
use.
and I have had a warm personal friendship going back many decades. I look forward to working with you to further strengthen the U.S.-Israel alliance, to continue expanding peace between Israel and the Arab world, and to confront common challenges. I look forward to working with you to further strengthen the U.S.-Israel alliance, to continue expanding peace between Israel and the Arab world, and to confront common challenges, chief among them the threat posed by Iran. I wish you the greatest success. God bless the United States of America, going back many decades. I look forward to working with you to further strengthen the U.S.-Israel alliance, to continue expanding peace between Israel and the Arab world, and to confront common challenges, chief among them the threat posed by Iran. I wish you the greatest success. God bless the United States of America. God bless Israel.
Fair use, fair use.
When I talk, I had my second book. I had a record with my second book. I think my first book sold something around the world, close to 8 million copies. My second book was not reviewed in any newspaper in North America. Now that's a record. None. No, I'm sorry. I think the guy in the Phoenix Gazette and the people from B'nai B'rith walked in and asked for him to resign. Yeah, because he's an anti-Semite.
Of course
now,
he
I
is.
know what they do because I used to ask them to do it. I mean, when I was in the Mossad and we had a guy that gave us problems in the U.S.
Yes, as he said, he was in the Mossad. So for those that are like, well, Ghetto, what the hell is the Mossad? What is that? What is the Mossad? So as we'll see quickly, the Mossad is a very, 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 very interesting government organization in Israel. And let's read this together quickly. There's essentially a very important part of the military wing in Israel. You could almost call them like Navy SEALs out here, if you will, or Green Berets, or you know what I mean, elite Marines, or possibly even a separate entity that's military. That's a paramilitary or military for hire, almost like a Blackwater, if you will. But let's see what they say about them. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. I love to do more than you know. Hey, hey. I love to do. I love to do. Hey. Immaculate. Oh, the Mossad, the Mossad, the Mossad, the Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations, the Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations. So would that make them more like a CIA? type of thing, or FBI. Institute for Intelligence and so yeah, sounds CIA-ish. Popularly known as Mossad, is the National Intelligence Agency, Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, for the state of Israel. It is one of the main entities in the Israeli intelligence community, along with Amman, which is a military intelligence, and Shin Bet, which is internal security. Mossad is responsible for intelligence collection, covert operations. What can I didn't see? It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. Okay. Oh, it does say that. There. Covert operations and counterterrorism. Its director answers directly to only the prime minister. That's pretty big. It's pretty important. Its annual budget is estimated to be around $10 billion, which would be about 2.7 billion US, and it's estimated that it deploys around 7,000 people, making it one of the world's largest espionage agencies. The organization has alleged to have been involved with many assassination plots across a variety of locations. Yes, they known to have them hitters. They particularly known to be bullying people in the music industry, allegedly. They known to be bothering and bullying people in the entertainment industry, because so many people in the entertainment that run the entertainment industry just happen to be connected to people in Mossad for some weird, wild reason, allegedly. Mossad was formed on December 13th, 1949 as the Central Institute for Coordination at the recommendation of Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion to Reuven Shaloah. Ben-Gurion wanted a central body to coordinate and improve cooperation between the existing security services, the Army's Intelligence Department, Amman, the Internal Security Service, Shin Bet, and the Political Intelligence Agency, the Mossad. The central body governing the three security services was Va'adat. Today, it is the Ministry of Intelligence. In March 1951, it was reorganized and incorporated into the Prime Minister's office, reporting directly to the Prime Minister of Israel. Due to Mossad's accountability directly to the Prime Minister and not to Knesset, the journalist Ronan Bergman described Mossad as a deep state. Dum dum dum. In the 1990s, Eliza Magen Halevi became the highest ranked woman in Mossad's history when she served as the agency's deputy director under Shabtai Shavit and Dani Yatom. The Mossad made an unusual move on Israel's 68th Independence Day by releasing a secret recruitment ad for its cyber division. The ad featured seemingly random letters and numbers, which turned out to be a hidden puzzle. Over 25,000 people attempted to solve it, and while most failed, dozens succeeded and were recruited. That's how you do that. That's how you get the best and the brightest, baby. In a rare 2012 interview with Lady Globes, Mossad fighters talked about the recruitment of men and women to be Mossad, the screening test, their work in the Mossad alongside starting a family, the relationships between the time to prepare for the actions and the actions themselves, working in teams, the emotional intelligence required of them, the nature of the captivity, avoiding fame and omnipotence, and conversations with the enemies. In 2024, during the Israel-Hezbollah conflict, it was reported in the media that Hezbollah fired a Kader-1 missile toward the Mossad base in Tel Aviv. So there you go. So this gentleman who's speaking now was essentially CIA in Israel. Covert ops, deep state.
And
let's keep
going. Out, and he was talking like Pete. Yeah, because he's an anti-Semite. Now, I know what they do because I used to ask them to do it. I mean, when I was in the Mossad, and we had a guy that gave us problems in the U.S., and he was speaking out, and he was talking like Pete talked once and said, Israel is bombing Lebanon with cluster bombs. We say, hey, who's that guy? You know? Pete Makaki, we used to call him. Yeah, which is Pete the cockroach. Because he makes a lot of noise and you can't get rid of him. So what you do is you get in touch with a guy in in the station in New York or in the station in Washington, you say, tell the guys at B'nai B'rith to label him. And of course the campaign starts, and before you know it, the guy's labeled. And he's an anti-Semite, because that's what we say he is. And that's one stain you cannot wash. Now, it shames me as a Jew to tell you that. But that's the fact, and it's wrong.
So take, say, the huge...
Fair use, Noam Chomsky.
Our pristine election.
Noam Chomsky, the hitter.
Interfere in our
The
election.
hitter.
An issue of overwhelming concern in the media. I mean, in most of the world, that's almost a joke. First of all, if you're interested in foreign interference in our elections, whatever the Russians may have done, barely counts weighs in the balance as compared with what another state does openly, brazenly, and with enormous support. Israeli intervention in U.S. elections vastly overwhelms anything the Russians may have done. I mean, even to the point another state does openly, brazenly, and with enormous support. Israeli intervention in U.S. election with enormous support. Israeli intervention in U.S. elections vastly overwhelms anything the Russians may have done. I mean, anything the Russians may have done. Vastly overwhelms intervention in U.S. and with enormous
fair use.
Intervention in U.S. elections vastly overwhelms anything the Russians may have done. I mean, even to the point where the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, goes directly to Congress without even informing the president, and speaks to Congress with overwhelming applause to try to undermine the president's policies. What happened with Obama and Netanyahu in 2015.
Man, let's get back into this Cori Bush interview. Fair use.
Congresswoman Cori Bush, thanks so much for joining us on Upfront.
Thanks for having me.
You recently fought a hard battle to keep your congressional seat, ultimately losing out in the Democratic primary to your opponent, Wesley Bell. In your district, historically, incumbents have been pretty safe from challenges from inside the party. But why do you think you faced such a hard challenge?
100%, because of my position as it relates to Palestinian liberation. I am the lead sponsor of the Ceasefire Now resolution in Congress, and I sponsored that legislation, introduced it with Representative Rashida Tlaib and several others. But not only did I introduce the legislation, but I kept speaking up. I kept raising the issue. We put pressure on the administration. And so because I was out front pushing, I wasn't going to be silenced because of what someone could do to me. And so I believe that JAiPAC, this pro-Israel lobby group that, by their own admission, they say that their sole purpose is to elect and support candidates that are unwavering in their support for the far-right Israeli government. They took that as a threat. Let me say this, if I had not sponsored that legislation, I probably would be returning to Congress in January.
In light of that logic that you got right in the crosshairs of JAiPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, would you have done anything different? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. My purpose going to Congress in the first place was to be able to speak up and stand up for those who are the most vulnerable in our communities, to be able to fight for justice and freedom, and that doesn't have borders. But also, this was work that I had been working on prior to entering Congress. This work with me goes back to the Ferguson uprising in 2014, 2015. So I ran on ending the occupation and supporting Palestinian liberation. So to go into Congress and then to be faced with bombs dropping on a whole population of people and to not say anything? Yeah. Absolutely not. I had to speak up.
That makes sense. There are people, though, who say that came at the expense of the district. That I remember reading a Washington Post article a while back that was sort of saying, there are people who say you're putting your personal politics above your district's interests. People point to missed congressional votes, et cetera. They say Gaza wasn't really it. The people in your district just didn't feel supported. What do you say to that?
It's a lie. Let me say this: whether it was the media or just what was coming across through the ads, AiPAC was 100% deceptive. They distorted the truth. The information that they put out was it was lie after lie after lie. They had to run on, she had this many missed votes when I was at home with COVID. Why didn't one commercial out of the multi-million-dollar lies that they put out, why didn't one speak anything about Israel or Gaza? Nothing did. So if you're so strong and you're so right about what you're doing and you believe, why not speak to it?
You talk about the millions and millions and millions. That's not an exaggeration. They spent more than $8 million to back Wesley Bell through its super PAC, the United Democracy Project. We saw Jamal Bowman's race in New York, $14.5 million to boost his opponent's campaign. AiPAC is dumping big money into these campaigns, and they're doing it particularly, look like, against squad members.
Yes.
Why?
Black.
Okay, so two things there. There's the progressive politics, and then all y'all are black.
Yes.
Talk to me about the black part of it first.
Yeah, so the thing is, when we look at where I believe, I'll say this, where I believe AiPAC is going, they would rather have someone in these seats that is not speaking up for black liberation, who is not making the connection between black and Palestinian solidarity. They would rather have someone who they believe is, not going to be the activist. I came to Congress as the activist. I call myself the politivist, the politician and the activist. They don't want that in the United States Congress. They don't want that in their politics.
Why are they particularly upset when black people are doing it?
Because we are the ones that typically are going to speak up. We're the ones that are going to speak out against injustice. We're the ones that are going to stand up against human suffering that crosses borders. So of course, we're not the ones that they want to see there. And then also, my work, fighting for the unhoused, fighting for to increase funding for black maternal health and black infant mortality, making sure that we are fighting against police violence. Those are things, fighting for reparations. I will continue to fight for reparations for black folk, for the descendants of enslaved black people in this country. So those are things that they don't want to see move. And let me say this
and
too.
They intersect. Help me break something down though, because the audience is probably saying, well, if you're doing all this awesome stuff for the voters, and the voters see you doing all this awesome stuff, and the voters can vote for you, how does AiPAC stop the voters from seeing all that you do and choosing you?
Yeah, well, because what I heard from so many people in my district was, Corey, I love you. I'm your biggest supporter, but I'm confused. I'm confused because all of these ads on television are saying you hate Joe Biden. They're saying you want kids to drink dirty water from lead pipes, and you voted against clean pipes. So there were the distortions of the truth and the misinformation was so it was so vast. And let me say this: if you saw 4 or 5 of my opponents' commercials, you saw 1 of mine. That's what the money did. It was radio, television, internet, and so it was everywhere. And so people were hearing so much of these lies that they were like, well, I don't know what to do. Some people felt like, well, if there's so much money, then maybe that means that he's fighting and she's not. And that's what some people said. We're used to you fighting, and it doesn't look like you're fighting.
Oh, you were fighting?
Yeah.
On August 7th, you made a concession speech. You said, AiPAC, I am coming to tear your kingdom down. A lot of people said they understood what you meant. Some people didn't receive it as well. Some seeing it as a biblical reference. Some saying it was even anti-Semitic speech. What did you mean? Tell me, I want you to say what you meant by that.
Yeah. So first of all, they want to say everything that I say is hateful or anti-Semitic or it's this or that.
What'd she say?
This, like, he's fighting and she's not. And that's what some people said. We're used to you fighting and it doesn't look like you're fighting.
Oh, you were fighting?
Yeah.
On August 7th, you made a concession speech. You said, AIPAC, I am coming to tear your kingdom down. A lot of people said they understood what you meant. Some people didn't receive it as well. Some seeing it as a biblical reference. Some saying it was even anti-Semitic speech.
Oh no!
What did you mean? Tell me. I want you to say
anti-Semitic, huh?
Yeah. So first of all, they want to say everything that I say is hateful or anti-Semitic or it's this or that.
Fair use.
AIPAC is the group that came after me. If it was the NRA, I would have said the NRA. If it was, mostly crypto or mostly, if it was big ag, big oil, I would have been speaking about them. But it was AIPAC who came after me. It was AIPAC who lied on me. It was AIPAC who was deceptive. It's AIPAC who hurt my community and made them believe all of these horrible things about their congresswoman. They divided our community in a way that we were not divided before. And it angers me so much because St. Louis didn't deserve that. They came in with primarily Republican money into a Democratic district, into a deep blue seat to change. And so I said, AIPAC, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down because you are the ones that came for me. And so what I mean by tear it down, it's not violence. We'll let their far-right Israeli government do the violence, and we're going to fight that too and get this arms embargo done. But I'm not coming at you with violence. I'm a peacekeeper. I'm a lover. That's what I do. I love all.
Fair use.
Yours is a voice of criticism we don't often hear in the United States. Often when there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe.
I'm sorry, say that again, ma'am.
As an Israeli Jew.
Well, it's a trick. We always use
people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then there are anti-Semitic
policies of the Israeli government.
Say that again,
people
lady.
Here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
I don't think I heard you right.
Trick. We always use it.
It's
when
a
from
trick.
Europe somebody.
We always use it. This is a former government member in Israel, and she's saying it's a trick. We always use it, calling people anti-Semitic. Huh? Let's dig in.
Is dissent expressed in the United States against
Shout to
policies
Democracy
of the
Now! This is an
Israeli government.
old Democracy Now! Clip.
People here are anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then there are.
Shulamit Alani, former Israeli minister.
Anti-Semitic.
When there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then there are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the ties between.
Just in case you're wondering who this lovely woman is, Shulamit Olani. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your last name, or Alani Shulamit, if it's backwards. Was an Israeli politician. She founded the Rats Party. She was the leader of the Meretz Party, was the leader of the opposition from 1988 to 1990, and served as the Israeli Minister of Education from 1992 to 1993. And in 2000, she won the quote-unquote Israel Prize, regarded as the highest cultural honor. Born in Poland, mother was a seamstress. Father was a carpenter, both descended from Polish rabbinical families. Mother migrated to Mandatory Palestine. Interesting. When she was a child, and Alani grew up in Tel Aviv. She went to boarding school during World War II while her parents served in the British Army. As a youth, she was a member of the socialist Zionist Hashomer Hatzir movement and the Palmach. During the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, she was involved in military struggles for Old City of Jerusalem. It was captured by Jordanian forces. So this is a woman who really been in the trenches. Following the establishment of the State of Israel, she worked with child refugees and helped establish a school for immigrant children. She taught in a school while studying law. And there's the reference for that. After her marriage in 1952 to Reuben Alani, the founder of Israel Lands Administration, she moved to Kfar Shmariyahu. Alani joined Mapai in 1959, which was Labor, Zionist, and Democracy and Democratic Socialist political party in Israel. She also worked as an attorney, hosted a radio show called After Working Hours, giving legal advice to ordinary Israelis, and wrote columns for the newspaper Yedioth Aharonoth and the weekly Lalsha. And there are, in 1965, was elected to Knesset on the list of alignment, an alliance of Mapai and Ahut. So this woman was really, and subsequently founded the Israel Consumers Council, which she chaired for 4 years. She left the alignment in 1973 and established the Citizens' Rights Movement, also known as RATS. The party advocated electoral reform, separation of religion and state, and human rights, and won 3 seats in the 1973 Knesset elections. RATS initially joined the alignment-led government with Alani as minister without portfolio. So without a particular, is a governor minister without specific responsibility, but she resigned immediately in protest at the appointment of Yitzhak Raphael as the minister of religions. Rat's beliefs became Yad Civil Rights Movement when independent MK Eli joined the party. Through the 70s, she attempted to initiate an ongoing dialogue with Palestinians in hopes of achieving a lasting peace settlement. During the 1982 Lebanon War, she established the International Center for Peace in the Middle East. In the run-up to the 1984 elections, RATS aligned with Peace Now and the Left Camp of Israel to increase its size in the Knesset to 5 seats. In 1992, she led RATS into an alliance with Shainu and Mapam to form the new Meretz Party. So for those wondering, Knesset, yeah, it's like their House or their Congress. Alani became the Minister of Education under Yitzhak Rabin, but was forced to resign after a year due to her outspoken statements on matters of religion. As an education minister, she also criticized organized tours by the Israeli high school pupils to Holocaust concentration camps on grounds that such visits were turning Israeli youth into aggressive nationalistic xenophobes, claiming that students march with unfurled flags as if they've come to conquer Poland. She was reappointed Minister of Communications and Science and Culture. After the signing of the Oslo Accords in 1993, Alani expressed her sentiments that the agreements were a positive turning point on the historic scale. After the massacre of 29 Muslims in Hebron, West Bank, on February 24th, 1994, portrayed by Baruch Goldstein, Alani called for the expulsion of Jewish settlers from Hebron. After the 1996 Knesset elections, in which Meretz lost 3 of its seats, Alani was ousted from Meretz leadership, with Yassi Sarid being elected to succeed her as leader of Meretz. She then retired from politics. So this is who's speaking with Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! In this clip. Let's hear Shulamit Alani again. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
Yours is a voice of criticism we don't often hear in the United States. Often when there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always
It's
use
a
it.
trick.
When
We
from
always
Europe
do
somebody
use
is
it.
criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust.
What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then they are anti-Semitic.
So in Europe, when people criticize Israel, they bring up the Holocaust. Jesus. And in this country, in America, when somebody criticizes Israel, they're labeled anti-Semitic. It's a trick. This is the former education minister, the minister of science and communications minister of the country of Israel, y'all. A politician of the country of Israel making these statements. Let's go.
And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the ties between
People here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response? Often here in the United States. Often when there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then they are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong. Of money and Semitic, and the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong, and they are strong in this country. As you know, they have power, which it's okay. They are talented people, and they have power, money, and media, and other things. And their attitude is Israel, my country, right or wrong, the identification. And they are not ready to hear criticism. And it's very easy to blame people who criticize certain acts of the Israeli government as anti-Semitics, and to bring up the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jewish people. And that justify everything we do to the Palestinians. The suffering of the Jewish people, and that just Semitics, and to bring in people who criticize certain acts of, and they are not ready to hear criticism. And it's very easy
not ready to hear
blame
criticism.
people who criticize certain acts of the Israeli government as anti-Semitics, and to bring up the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jewish people. And that justify everything we do to the Palestinians.
That justifies everything due to the Palestinians. Shulamit Alani founded the Israeli left-wing party RATS in 1992. RATS merged with two other socialist parties to form Meretz, of which Alani became a leader. Meretz is a member of the Socialist International Communists. democracynow.org. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Shout to Democracy Now! Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
What's good? What's really good? Y'all already know, folks. Riley Freeman, a.k.a. Young
Fair use, fair use. United States of JAiPAC Part 3. Número 3. Número 3. Número 3.
Three-point contest, making it rain like Lil Wayne out this motherfucker without even taking off his warm-ups or his Timbs, nigga. And later, he bust Vince Carter's ass in the slam dunk contest. Look at this right here. Look. Man, I seen it all. Ernie, nigga, back to you.
This Riley Freeman, a very exciting but controversial player. Last year, he became the first person to leave elementary school and go to the NBA when the Miami Heat signed him to a $3 gazillion contract, the biggest in league history.
I don't care how much they pay him, Ernie. This kid is a disgrace to basketball. He epitomizes every...
Have y'all ran into you, Smokey? I'm trying to clean up this neighborhood, and I thought you could help me by pointing out some of the drug addicts.
Okay, but nowadays, drug addicts have some pretty peculiar names.
You mean nicknames?
Well, street names, like who's on crack, say what's on smack, and I don't know, freebases.
Well, do you know the fellows' names?
I said, who's on crack, say what's on smack, and I don't know, freebases.
Well, who's on crack?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name.
Who?
The guy on crack.
Who?
The crack addict.
Who is on crack?
I don't know.
I don't know, freebases.
Who freebases?
No, who's on crack?
Say what?
No, he's on smack.
Who's on smack?
No, who's on crack?
I don't know.
Freebase!
Shut up, you damn stupid crackhead!
From the Jewish Telegraph Agency, AIPAC's huge investment in primary campaigns is paying off. But at what price? Down the road, the outsized spending has the potential to roll a number of long-standing orthodoxies, not just about pro-Israel politics, but elections in general. AIPAC believes it's getting bang for its buck big time. As of this month, the United Democracy Project, one of two political action committees or PACs, AIPAC established last December, just not too long ago, is the biggest spending nonpartisan political committee and the second largest overall this cycle, dispensing more than $26 million on its favorite candidates. I thought they were poor. Liars. Thou art rich. I know thy works and thy tribulation and thy poverty, yet thou art rich, O synagogue of Shaitan. Let's go. Results: out of 9 candidates backed by UDP, a super PAC allowed to spend unconditionally as long as it does not coordinate with a campaign, 6 have won their primaries and 1 has lost. Polling suggests 1 more likely win out of the 2 races left that the group is invested in. Next week in Michigan, they have an insane win record. Meanwhile, an affiliated convention PAC, the AIPAC PAC, raised close to $12 million by the end of last month. And of the 212 of its candidates that have faced primaries to date, 207 have won. Let me say that again. And of the 212 of its candidates that have faced primaries to date, 207 have won. Damn. And this is an article officially from the Jewish Telegraph Agency. So tell your mama to be quiet. All right. It has become crystal clear that being anti-Israel will have a negative effect on a candidacy. Patrick Dorton, a spokesman for UDP, the super PAC, said in an interview, damn, the 2 political action committees have already had a significant impact, and they have helped to underscore that it is both good policy and good politics to support the U.S.-Israel relationship. Let me read that again. The 2 PACs have already had a significant impact, and they have helped to underscore that it is both good policy and good politics to support the U.S.-Israel relationship, said Marshall Whitman, a spokesman for AIPAC and its AIPAC PAC. Message sent, but the outsized spending has the potential to roil a number of long-standing orthodoxies, not just about pro-Israel politics, but elections in general. Spending by UDP has made Israel an issue few Americans are invested in, a front and center electoral issue in major races. Spending by the UDP, or the United Democracy Project, has made Israel an issue few Americans are invested in, a front and center electoral issue in major races. It has made Israel a issue for this country when this country should be focused on issues of this country. Crazy to think, right, that a country should focus on itself first, put its sovereignty ahead of everything else. But we'll keep going. AIPAC hopes to once again narrow a definition of pro-Israel that liberal groups like J Street have succeeded in expanding in the last 15 years. And with UDP, or United Democracy Project's focus only on Democratic primaries, and with United Democracy's focus only on Democratic primaries, the Super PAC appears to be proving that a single issue group is capable of shaping a party to its preferred contours. Crazy. Now, I'm not saying there's not a United Republican Project, but I can only speak about the ones that I've seen. I'm sure AIPAC PAC helps tons of Republican candidates, but UDP's focus, if this is its singular focus, man, how much energy and attention to detail they can give these Democratic primaries, and making sure that anybody who steps up in these major Democratic races supports the U.S.-Israel alliance or doesn't get a seat. Ghetto, are you saying they trying to control the Democratic Party? I mean, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck. But again, they trying to control both sides. I'm saying their UDP division is singularly focused on the Democratic Party, and probably their AIPAC PAC and the other PACs they work who work for them or who work with them are generously contributing to Republican candidates, as well as the people who are just members of their traditional AIPAC Public Action Committee, because those people are tremendously encouraged to give generously directly to the Israel US aligned candidates of their choice. Let's keep going. The spending has bewildered political veterans and thrust Israel's issues into the foray in places and races where they would likely otherwise be little interest. Never in Detroit have I ever seen it. Jonathan Kinloch, who chairs the Democratic Party in Michigan's 13th district, one of two in the state where UDP has spent millions on primaries taking place next week, told the Detroit News this week. I've been involved since the early 1980s as a teenager. I've never seen in Detroit a congressional race having this kind of outside money. I've never seen in Detroit a congressional race having this kind of outside money. In May, the Assembly, a North Carolina magazine, headlined its deep dive into UDP, or again, United Democracy Project spending in its state, buying, quote unquote, buying a blue seat. So this is a North Carolina magazine called The Assembly, had an article called Buying a Blue Seat. Check that article out. Until a year ago, the pro-Israel powerhouse was at pains to explain that it was not, in fact, a PAC. The PAC and its name stood for Public Affairs Committee. Excuse me, not Public Action, Public Affairs. Excuse me. And AIPAC did not involve itself directly in elections. AIPAC's annual policies conferences were at pains to present as welcoming to one and all. Roll calls at the massive Monday night dinner named congressional guests that included critics of Israel. Lay leaders sternly reminded activists never to boo anyone who had crossed the lobby and to always make their case without rancor. The lobby was about suasion. We gonna get you on our side the smooth way, pimpin', and not alienation, at least not ostensibly. We don't want to look like that to the outside. You know, we might alienate and dog and drag people and poo-poo on them behind closed doors, allegedly. But yeah, we can't look like that. Not to the public. That would be poor taste. Article continues, behind the scenes, AIPAC could be ruthless. AIPAC could be ruthless, burying legislative initiatives that were even moderately critical of Israel. And while AIPAC did not directly involve itself in elections, it encouraged its donors to do so. there were big givers to both parties who were unmistakably identified with the lobby. You knew they were a part of the lobby. It's not even a question. Yeah, this is AIPAC money. Among them, Haim Shaban, the Israeli American entertainment mogul who backs Democrats, and Sheldon Adelson, the late casino billionaire and GOP giver who had a close relationship with AIPAC until they split in 2007. So they're telling their millionaires and billionaires, donate to these U.S.-Israel aligned people on both sides of the aisle, as long as you're 100% sure they down with the get down. Because if they ain't down with the get down, they got to lay down. Period. Allegedly. Let's go. But Cori Bush might not say allegedly at this point. Damn. Let's keep going. Still maintaining at least a superficial distance from partisan attacks served AIPAC well for decades, but Dorton explained that the shifting political landscape necessitated a direct entry into the fray. For one thing, political winds change much faster than in the past, and relying on others to shift donor attention to an election AIPAC deemed critical was not cutting it anymore. The United Democratic Plan? I can't even remember at this point. United Democracy Project, made AIPAC more nimble. So they can do, these other subsidiary companies can do things that we can't. It'll mess up our public image. But if y'all do those things more under the radar, hey, it's just a good day in the neighborhood. There are short windows in these races, and it's important to get a message out and in a matter of weeks. Oh, you mean like how Kamala had one of the shortest race windows period, but allegedly raised more money than anybody ever? It's 1.5 something billion dollars that she raised in a matter of about 15 weeks. Interesting. Let's go. Another factor is the growing influence of an Israel critical wing among progressives in the Democratic Party. A small but vocal number of left-wing Democrats in Congress briefly held up a vote on defense assistance for Israel last year after the country's conflict with Hamas in Gaza, a public display that once would have been unthinkable after scenes of Israelis running for shelter. Insiders say progressives are slow walking approval for defense expenditures through Congress and subjecting the demands to increased scrutiny. They asking questions, huh? Asking all them questions, making statements, assuming, asking all them questions, asking all them questions, asking all them questions, making statements, assuming. I'm just being silly. Let's keep it going. Keeping Democrats on board with AIPAC's agenda is critical to its bipartisan ethos, Dorton stressed. There was rising concern in the pro-Israel community about candidates for Congress who held radical anti-Israel views, Dorton said. What we're trying to do is build the broadest bipartisan pro-Israel coalition in Congress possible. What we're trying to do is build the broadest bipartisan pro-Israel coalition in Congress possible. If that ain't them plainly laying out the game plan, they telling you how they finna run the play. This ain't rocket science. You know what I'm saying? This is not rocket science. Whitman, the AIPAC PAC spokesman, said the PACs helped foster clarity. The PACs have highlighted who are the pro-Israel candidates and who are detractors of Israel, quote unquote. My God. J Street, a liberal Jewish Middle East policy group launched in 2008 as a counterweight to AIPAC to create space for what it describes as policies that are pro-Israel while at times critical of its government, says that while the short-term results may validate AIPAC's gambit and keep Democrats in line, long-term, it will have lasting damage. Logan Bayroff, the group's vice president of communications, said the heavy-handed spending would alienate Democrats and Americans who will identify AIPAC and the pro-Israel community with bullying. No, not bullying. What? Who? How dare you accuse Israel of bullying people that don't agree with them. So what? They tried to cut Kanye off and shut him out the banking system. How dare you? So what? They tried to stop Kyrie Irving from earning a living for his family. How dare you? You watch your mouth. They don't bully anybody. Don't make me get about this motherfucker. What? I will whoop your behind over some Jerusalem. What? Don't you dare. Ain't going on around me. Beat that ass over Israel, nigga. Somehow, article continues, somehow they expect at the end of the day that all this is going to somehow strengthen support for Israel. Bayroff said, I think this is an admission that they can't win on the merits. That might be your position, Bayroff. Huh? Maybe you just think like that. There's maybe something wrong with you, nigga. In some cases, the spending has alienated local politicians who resent out-of-state big footing, meaning a bunch of money coming from out of state into local elections. In North Carolina, Marcia Maury, an influential state representative who otherwise does not have a record on Israel, withdrew her support for Valerie Foushee, a congressional candidate, because of what she called massive out-of-state donations from JAiPAC's allied PAC on Foushee's behalf. Dorton said the spread of anti-Israel sentiment necessitated the bolder approach. The reality is those radical anti-Israel views have seeped over the last several years into politics in a way that threatens the historic and bipartisan support for Israel in Congress, he said. We feel that it is necessary to highlight the contrast between candidates. We feel it is necessary to highlight the contrast between candidates. Yo, they not down with the team. Make sure you know they not down with the team. They not loving the crew. They not loving the crew. They ain't loving the Jews. They don't love on the Jews. They not loving the Jews. No, put your nose on my keyboard. Article keeps going. Some of the candidates the United Democracy Project, or the UDP, has opposed have not been pronouncedly critical of Israel. In a Texas race in which UDP backed incumbent Henry Suellar, his challenger Jessica Cisneros has little to no record on the issue, and foreign policy didn't feature on her campaign website, though she had been endorsed by J Street this year and in 2020. Well, that's enough. If you down with them, you ain't down with us. I don't need you to openly open your mouth. I just need to know that the other team bop with you, cuz, and we not swinging. Most of y'all really like this wine. Most of y'all really like this wine. Bear wine that low bite. Ain't damn born on right. She want the whole crew, shorty, right? When I go, I can't take it to my grave. Throw away what you throw away. Alright, I'm done. Suellar edged out Cisneros last month. In other cases, UDP is not targeting some of the most prominent Israel critics in the House, such as Ilhan Omar and Betty McCollum of Minnesota and Rashida Tlaib of Michigan. Dorton said that the PAC's decisions were strategic. It's hard to out incumbents, and it was more important to keep anti-Israel primary candidates from gaining incumbency. So if you already got the seat, you already super popular, you a part of the PAC. Yeah, I mean, it's super hard to go at you, even though they just ousted Cori Bush. So I don't know if Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib gonna have a leg to stand on much longer. You know what I'm saying? It look like they getting them up out of there. But yeah, they, slowly but surely, they gonna put that money to work. Part of it is elevating a viable pro-Israel candidate versus a potential anti-Israel squad type, he said, referring to Tlaib and the small group of other progressive Democrats who push for forceful U.S. pressure on Israel, including withholding aid. Mark Mellman, the president of the Democratic Majority for the Israel PAC, which, like the AIPAC affiliated PACs, has also promoted traditionally pro-Israel candidates, said there was no reason to throw good money away. We want to be in races where we can make a difference, and we want to be in races we know we're going to win. Whose group has spent over $6 million on primary races and has so far scored 35 wins and 6 losses. There are some races where somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose, and there's nothing you can do about it. J Street's Bayroff said some people would have perceived Cori Bush as one of those people, but apparently not. J Street's Bayroff said he perceived the aim of AIPAC affiliated PACs as narrowing pro-Israel discourse to the uncritical dimensions that flourished prior to the rise of J Street. He noted that UDP was spending millions in a Michigan race pitting two Democratic incumbents against one another because of redistricting. Pro-AIPAC groups are backing Rep. Haley Stevens and opposed J Street endorsed candidate Republican Andy Levin, a scion of Jewish political family who is an outspoken promoter of U.S. involvement in nudging Israel and the Palestinians toward a two-state outcome. They're making this an extra polarizing issue, Bayroff said. They seem eager to try to make this a divide. So AIPAC said, we will even go at Jewish people now who are against our means and motives in Palestine and what we do. If you ain't down with what we do, we not down with you. We don't care if you wear a yarmulke or not. So F you and your mama. Sorry, Miss Jackson. Whew. I am for real. David Victory, past AIPAC president who lives in the Detroit area, said earlier this year in an email that was leaked to Levin backers that Levin's credentials are what makes him dangerous. His ostensible moderation gives cover to radicals like Tlaib, he said. That's a fancy way for saying that him being a Jew, him being Jewish, him being Israel-ish, and having all these views makes people like Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC, gives them a little more cannon fodder when they talking they stuff, and put a little more under their chest if even there are people from Israel who don't agree with what they're doing. That's essentially what it's saying. It puts a little more juice in their batteries, gives a little more credit to their position if people who are from these places also don't completely support AIPAC. Andy sincerely claims to be a lifelong Zionist, proud Jew and defender of Israel, Victor said in an email. So when Andy Levin insists he's pro-Israel, less engaged Democratic colleagues may take him at his word. AIPAC, now that affiliated PACs are in the race, is also susceptible to perceptions about its associations. A number of Democrats have attacked the PAC for taking money from Republicans, and in the case of AIPAC PAC, for endorsing dozens of Republicans who voted not to certify Joe Biden's election as president. A number of Democrats have attacked the PACs for taking money from Republicans, and in the case of AIPAC PAC, for endorsing dozens of Republicans who voted not to certify Joe Biden's election as president, even after former President Donald Trump spurred a deadly insurrection at the Capitol. Stop it. In a Michigan race, one of UDP's donors is a Republican industrialist, Edward Levy. Any relation? Of course there is. Who is funneling money through UDP to Adam Hollier, a state senator who backs an initiative that would open a gravel mining opportunity for Levy. It's always about quid pro quo. It's always about one hand washing the other and both washing the face. And if you ain't understand that's how politics go by now, something is wrong in your brain. Bayroff said that the net effect was that AIPAC appeared to be backing insurrectionists while taking on progressives. J Street's president, Jerry Ben-Ami, has said that the perception is that AIPAC is doing battle with quote-unquote people of color. Crayons, Crayola boxes. Dorton ridiculed the notion that UDP had backed progressives and that most of the candidates AIPAC endorses were people of color. Whatever the hell that means. He said the mix of Republicans and Democrats showed unity of purpose. Yeah, their purpose is to get the U.S. to get down and everybody else to lay down. Duh. These individuals are completely putting aside their partisan agendas to support candidates that are pro-Israel. These individuals are completely putting aside their partisan agendas to support candidates that are pro-Israel. Gang, we're going to take a quick break right there. Be right back.
My stars and garters, President Ronald Reagan, my hero. Is this heaven?
Oh, not just heaven, Ruckus. White heaven. You see, there are many different types of people, Ruckus. So God created many separate, but, well, for the most part, equal heavens.
You don't say.
White heaven is for decent, good, God-fearing Christians who just happen to, well, hate everyone and everything relating to black people. That means no Muhammad Ali, no hip-hop music, and no f***ing Jesse Jackson.
What about Whoopi Goldberg?
Nope.
Oh, this is heaven.
Turns out that God really doesn't have that much of a problem with racism. He doesn't even remember slavery, except in February. Personally, I hate black people, Ruckus. That's why I did everything I could to make their lives miserable. Crack?
Is that right?
Me. AIDS? Me. Reaganomics? Come on, I'm in the name. And God,
damn it, he's in the name.
All the people with the backwards attitude, pointing fingers, and that's a bad excuse for sitting on your ass when you complain. It's two things that you don't want to change. You ain't got no time for me, and I ain't got no sympathy for you.
Israel ignores the president's urging and yours and goes in on the ground in Rafah before the people there have gotten the aid and have been placed in some shelter. Should we condition the weapons or halt the weapons?
We've not made any decision to do that at this point, but I will tell you that I am
ground in Rafah before the people there have gotten the aid and have been placed in some shelter. Should we condition the weapons or halt the weapons?
We've not made any decision to do that at this point, but I will tell you that I am very concerned.
No, we're not going to halt the weapons. No, we're never going to stop sending the weapons. Did you just hear? Did you just hear what we were talking about? You're talking about Israelish, Israelite. We can never stop sending the weapons to Israelite. Okay, we need Israelite to do what they do, baby. You know what I'm saying? This is the get down, lay down gang. It's the United States of JAiPAC. Numero 3. Fair use. Let's keep going.
The president's urging and yours and goes in on the ground in Rafah before the people there have gotten the aid and have been placed in some shelter. Should we condition the weapons or halt the weapons?
We've not made any decision to do that at this point.
Oh no, we're not talking about that, baby.
Very concerned.
I'm very concerned, though.
As many as 1.5 million decision to do that at weapons. We've not made any decision to do that at this point, but I will tell you that I am
How dare you even ask me that?
very concerned that there are as many as 1.5 million people in Rafah who, for the most part, are people who have been displaced because they fled.
They displaced because they fled. We not giving them no money. We gonna keep giving Israel money. We not giving them no money. I'm very concerned. Yeah, the trucks can't get through. The food ain't getting there. Slow down the weapons, huh? What?
For the people there,
Slow down the
have gotten
weapons.
aid and have been placed in some shelter.
Where they do that at?
Should we condition the weapons or halt?
You ain't see what happened on October 7th? How
We've not
dare
made
you?
any decision to do that at this point, but I will tell you that I am very concerned that there are as many as 1.5 million people in Rafah who, for the most part, are people who have been displaced because they fled.
Fair use.
And we don't often hear in yours is a voice of criticism we don't often hear in the United States. Often when there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then there are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong, and they are strong in this country. As you know, they have power, which it's okay. They are talented people, and they have power, money, and media, and other things. And their attitude is Israel, my country, right or wrong, the identification. And they are not ready to hear criticism. And it's very easy to blame people who criticize certain acts of the Israeli government as anti-Semitics, and to bring up the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jewish people. And that justify everything we do to the Palestinians.
The Assembly buying a blue seat. How the race for North Carolina's most progressive district became the most expensive Democratic congressional primary in state history. An article from May 10th, 2022. 2 months before the May 17th Democratic primary, Nita Alam's congressional campaign was optimistic. Alam, a 28-year-old Durham County commissioner, had raised nearly $700,000. 700 of them things, baby. In less than 6 months. Sounds familiar. She'd soon bank the endorsements of Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. This all sounds too familiar, doesn't it? This all sounds very, very familiar. And she believed her top rival, state senator Valerie Fuchs, we just read about this, was struggling to generate enthusiasm despite 25 years in office and the backing of more than 24 local Democratic officials. So it was kind of cat what they would talk about they can't get incumbents out. Because if this woman had 25 years in office and they were able to get her up out the seat, then if they spend enough money, they can get an incumbent out as well. They'll just drown your message. Jesus. Then suddenly everything changed. Since mid-March, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, also known as JAiPAC, JAiPAC, numero 3, keep going. A political action committee, excuse me, no, it's a public affairs committee. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth, Assembly. You on my list. Write you down, Assembly. Don't do it to yourself. Make me get up out this chair. They're gonna throw me off YouTube for this. Oh, they're gonna throw me off YouTube. Has funneled more than 433,000 into Fushi's coffers, accounting for 54% of the campaign's total fundraising. Man, according to Federal Elections Commission records. Then came the Super PAC, the independent organizations that can raise and spend unlimited amounts of money promoting candidates or issues. In April, the AIPAC-affiliated United Democracy Project, Majority for Israel, DMFI, and Project Our Future, which is funded by a 30-year-old cryptocurrency billionaire, began saturating the triangle with nearly $2.7 million in advertising on Fushi's behalf, including what candidates have raised themselves. The contest is the most expensive Democratic congressional primary in North Carolina history, and as of Monday, the race had seen more spending from outside groups than any state primary for U.S. House in either party. That funding has propelled Fushi to a 19-point lead, a much more sizable advantage than her campaign's internal polling had her at just a few weeks ago. The outside money had also exposed the fickleness of regulations designed to prohibit coordination between campaigns and their super PACs, and put into sharp relief a challenge facing campaign finance reform. During the campaign, Fushi promised to fight the influence of big money, but if she wins, big money will have paved her road to Washington. AIPAC's motives aren't a secret. It wants to defeat Alam, the first Muslim woman elected to office in North Carolina. Fushi is a means to that end. Between April 15th and May 3rd, the United Democracy Project, or the UDP, spent $1.47 million backing the state senator, on top of the $433,000 AIPAC and its members directly contributed to her campaign. So we write about $2 million right now. And this is just for a local campaign, y'all. Keep the money going. Fushi's campaign manager said in a statement that she won AIPAC's support because of her unequivocal support for a two-state solution in the Middle East and her belief that Israel is a critically important strategic ally and the only democracy in the region. She know what to say. But many Democrats have become wary of AIPAC in recent years. Every Democratic presidential candidate skipped AIPAC's annual conference in 2019. The organization opposed President Barack Obama's Iran nuclear deal, supported the right-wing government of former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and has been accused by some progressives, including new White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, of trafficking in anti-Muslim and anti-Arab rhetoric. AIPAC wouldn't be in North Carolina's 4th congressional district if it weren't for Alam, who has criticized Israel's treatment of Palestinians and the $3.8 billion a year in military aid the U.S. gives Israel, and the $3.8 billion in military aid the U.S. gives Israel a year, nigga. In a December op-ed, Alam apologized for a 2018 tweet that unintentionally invoked anti-Semitic tropes. Of course it did. As the daughter of immigrants, my foreign policy views always center peace and the defense of human rights abroad. I believe the United States has a responsibility to pursue peace and ensure that Israelis and Palestinians can live with dignity. After campaign finance reports revealed AIPAC's bundled donations, the Progressive Caucus of the North Carolina Democratic Party revoked its endorsement of Fushi. The caucus pointed out that AIPAC also endorsed most of the Republicans who voted against certifying President Joe Biden's election on January 6th, 2021. On April 25th, Fushi, because they're bipartisan, they don't care about y'all internal squabbling. Their goal is Israel. Haven't you got it through your skulls yet? On April 25th, Fushi told the Forum of Granville County Democrats that many of the AIPAC members who donate to her have supported my campaign as a school board member, as a county commissioner, and as a legislator. No one ever questioned those doctors, lawyers, and teachers who live in my district and who have donated to me. That's not true. Of the 399 donations AIPAC bundled for Fushi through the end of April, only 26 came from North Carolina. And even in just 7 came from people who can actually vote for her. Damn. Of the 399 donations AIPAC bundled for Fushi through the end of April, only 26 came from North Carolina. And just 7 came from people who can actually vote for her. All this outside spending to influence races. People who are not even in her district. People who can't even vote for her. People who are not even in her state. Sending bread like, you AIPAC, you down with the team. This is what you get. This is what you get when you down with the team. Man, most contributors lived in California, Florida, or New York. AIPAC also generated 85% of the money Fushi raised, or almost looked like Fauci, right? Jesus, Fauci. Raised in April, Fushi, declined to respond to the Assembly's questions about her misleading statement. Of course. At the Granville County Forum, Fauci also complained that this one black Baptist female, was being singled out over AIPAC's funding when the group supported other Democrats too. Of course. Sister, god damn it. Of course it's a sister talking crazy. But none of the other candidates has received more than $19,400 from AIPAC's committee or members. Less than 5% of what the group gave Fushi. Less than 5% of what they gave you, man. And only Davis, a moderate state senator running against the progressive who wants to provide equal aid to Israel and Palestine, has backing from the United Democracy Project, which has spent $1.7 million on the race as of May 9th. So you get crazy money. Jesus. On May 4th, DMFI, another pro-Israel super PAC led by Democratic pollster Mark Mellman, began running more than $218,000 in digital and television ads promoting Fushi, FEC records show. Man. This is crazy, man. This is how you could buy a seat, bro. This is how you could buy a seat. Valerie Fushi, we see you. They're using super PACs to do their dirty work. Weeks before the super PAC money started pouring into the 4th district, internet and telephone calls tested attacks against Alam. Man, this is how you do this, man. This is how you make these people get down or lay down. And it's really as simple as that. It's really as simple as that, man. This is an excellent article. Check it out. Theassembly.com. Theassembly.com. Buying a blue seat. How the race for North Carolina's most progressive district became the most expensive Democratic congressional primary in state history. Shout to Jeffrey Billman for the amazing article and the good work. Fair mother flipping use.
Israel ignores the president's urging and yours and goes in on the ground in Rafah before the people there have gotten the aid and have been placed in some shelter. Should we condition the weapons or halt the weapons?
We've not made any decision to do that at this point, but
no, fair use.
Good morning, AIPAC. Good morning. What an honor. Lillian, congratulations on your outstanding presidency, and it's great to be with you again this year. I also want to thank JAiPAC's Executive Director, Howard Core, and I'm just thrilled to see all of the students in the audience. In you, I see our future. I want to especially recognize the nearly 1,000 Californians who are here today. And of course, including my dear friends and JAiPAC board members, Anita Friedman and Sissy Swig and Amy Friedkin. And I'm proud to say and be that among the many voices represented here, the California delegation is the largest and hopefully the loudest. There you go. So having grown up in the Bay Area, I fondly remember those Jewish National Fund boxes that we would use to collect donations to plant trees.
Where did she just say she grew up? Yo, she started off lying.
When I visited
God
Israel
damn.
for the first time, I saw
Oh,
that effort
Canada, Kamala, stop lying.
bloom. I soaked in the sights and sounds and smells of Jerusalem. And of course, including my dear friends and JAiPAC board members, Anita Friedman and Sissy Swig and Amy Friedkin. And I'm proud to say and be that among the many voices represented here, the California delegation is the largest and hopefully the loudest. There you go. So having grown up in the Bay Area, I fondly remember those Jewish National Fund boxes that we would use to collect donations to plant trees for Israel. Years later, when I visited Israel for the first time, I saw the fruits of that effort and the Israeli ingenuity that has truly made a desert bloom. I soaked in the sights and sounds and smells of Jerusalem. I stood in Yad Vashem, devastated by the silent testimonies of the 6 million Jews that were murdered in the Holocaust. And we must always remember that solemn promise, never again. And I did what I often do when visiting a new country. I visited the highest court in the land. And as I toured Israel's Supreme Court, I was struck by the iconic architecture, which embodies Israel's founding principles of democracy and rule of law. The design of that building left a lasting impression on me. Its straight lines, which represent the immutable nature of truth, while the curved walls and glass represent the fluid nature of tzedek, of justice. And this is a concept that is personal for me, because it's that same commitment to justice for the voiceless and the vulnerable that led my parents as students to march for civil rights in the 1960s while pushing me in a stroller. And it's why I became a prosecutor and personally prosecuted.
Either that or they were just running their part in the play. They were doing their part in the plan. New York Times has a great article on this. Let's keep going though.
Where I took on, where I took on transnational gangs, cyber criminals, and mortgage fraud. And that commitment to justice is why I ran to become a United States Senator from the great state of California. The point being to continue that fight. And a critical piece of my agenda is the fight to defend and strengthen our national security. As a member of both the Senate Intelligence Committee and Homeland Security Committee, I have a front row seat to these issues, and I am proud to stand strongly with America's allies, including Israel. So let me be clear about what I believe. I stand with Israel because of our shared values, which are so fundamental to the founding of both our nations. So let me be clear about what I believe. I stand with Israel because of our shared values, which are so fundamental to the founding of both our nations, including Israel. So let me be clear about what I believe. I stand with Israel because of our shared values, which are so fundamental to the founding of both our nations. I believe the bonds between the United States and Israel are unbreakable, and we can never let anyone drive a wedge between us. Our bonds are rooted in our shared history and are strengthened by the ties between our peoples. And in the words of Shimon Peres, whose loss we mourn so deeply, for Israel's existence, we need the friendship of the United States of America. And of course, he knew that feeling goes both ways. And there's no question that friendship and our partnership must be unwavering. And I believe that Israel must be, the teleprompter has stopped, and now I'm going to catch it back up. There we are. I believe Israel should never be a partisan issue. And as long as I'm a United States Senator, I will do everything.
But if you speaking from the heart, my dear, if you speaking, whoa, if you speaking from the corazón, why do you need a teleprompter so much? Why? I'm just trying to figure it out. Why do you need them to feed you words if this is how you truly feel deep down in your soul, madam? If you such an eloquent orator, you know, what's going on here?
Thing in my power to ensure. The teleprompter has stopped, and now I'm going to catch it back up. There we are. I believe that Israel must be. The teleprompter has stopped, and now I'm going to.
I believe that Israel must be a teleprompter. What? What in the world? Did she say Israel is a teleprompter?
That friendship and our partnership must be unwavering. And I believe that Israel must be. The teleprompter has stopped, and now I'm going to catch it back up. There we are. I believe Israel should never be a partisan issue. And as long as I'm a United States Senator, I will do everything. And I believe that Israel must be. The teleprompter has stopped, and now I'm going to catch it back up.
She couldn't even say that Israel must never be a partisan issue without the teleprompter, y'all. Damn. Dr. Shamala Gopala would be rolling in her mango chutney. My God. R.I.P. to that beautiful lady. Let's keep it going.
There we are. I believe Israel should never be a partisan issue. And as long as I'm a United States Senator, I will do everything in my power to ensure broad and bipartisan support for Israel's security and right to self-defense. I believe that the only viable resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is 2 states for 2 people living side by side in peace and security. I believe that a resolution to this conflict cannot be imposed It must be agreed upon by the parties themselves. Peace can only come through a reconciliation of differences, and that can only happen at the negotiating table. I believe that when any organization delegitimizes Israel, we must stand up and speak out for Israel to be treated equally.
And get up, make me stand up for Israel.
Resolution I co-sponsored as a United States Senator was to combat anti-Israel bias at the United Nations and reaffirm that the United States seeks a just, secure, and sustainable two-state solution. And as someone who has personally prosecuted hate crime, I also believe that we cannot
hate crimes, y'all. Hate crimes.
Anti-Semitism, hate crime, and bigotry are on the rise.
That's
whether that's
right.
A swastika on a Jewish family and children's services bus in San Francisco, or the burning of a mosque in Tampa. That's why I am pleased to announce, for the first time here,
It got quiet when she said that mosque.
I'm introducing a Senate resolution that condemns targeting of Jews, as well as any form of religious bias, racism, misogyny, or other hateful acts targeting minorities across the United States.
What else you got?
And let's be candid.
Don't trust you, lady.
Many, including those in this hall, have been directly impacted by the outrageous incidents targeting the Jewish community.
Is that right?
This violence and hate is alarming and simply unacceptable. No one should have to worry about their children's safety when they drop them off at the JCC. No one should have to be afraid to put a menorah in their front window or on their front lawn.
That's right.
And no one should ever have to fear that the grave of a loved one might be desecrated because of their faith. So my resolution calls on law enforcement to expedite investigations of hate crime and hold perpetrators accountable. My resolution calls on law enforcement to fully report hate crime statistics. And my resolution calls on the administration to support victims and fund security at places of worship and other institutions that have been targeted, of any faith. And as I fight to promote human rights and security, Israel and the Jewish community will always be a priority for me. And that is why, as Senator, I am particularly focused on 3 areas where I believe the United States and Israel can expand our cooperation and where California plays an important and central role. And the 3 are defense, cybersecurity, and water security. So let's think about it. First, defense. In the midst of uncertainty and turmoil, America's support for Israel's security must be rock solid. And as Iran continues to launch ballistic missiles, while it arms and funds its terrorist proxy Hezbollah, we must stand with Israel.
It's almost like she could have gave this speech this primary time, huh? She could have literally gave this speech to AIPAC just a few days ago. Hezbollah's in the news. Huh. History don't repeat, but it sure do rhyme. Keep going, lady.
And that is why, as Senator, I am particularly focused on 3 areas where I believe the United States and Israel can expand our cooperation and where California plays an important and central role.
Mm.
And the three are defense, cybersecurity, and water security. So let's think about it. First, defense. In the midst of uncertainty and turmoil, America's support for Israel's security must be rock solid.
Solid as a rock.
And as Iran continues to launch ballistic missiles, while it arms and funds its terrorist proxy Hezbollah,
Makes you
we must
feel
stand with Israel.
Fair use.
As Hamas maintains its control of Gaza and fires rockets across Israel's southern border, we must stand with Israel.
She could have literally just gave this speech as VP, guys. This is crazy. It's like we in a time loop or something. Let's keep it going.
And as ISIS and civil war in Syria destabilize the region, displacing millions and threatening shared security interests, we must support all those affected by ongoing violence and terror, and we must stand with Israel.
We must stand with Israel. You heard it. You heard it here
Our
first.
defense relationship is critical to both nations, which is why I support the United States' commitment to provide Israel with $38 billion in military assistance over the next decade. Security interests. We must support all those affected by ongoing violence and terror, and we must stand with Israel. Our defense relationship is critical to both nations, which is why I support the United States' commitment to provide Israel with $38 billion in military assistance over the next decade.
38 billion with a B.
It is why I support full funding for Israel, including for the Arrow, David Sling, and the Iron Dome missile defense systems that save lives. And that's why I am fully committing to maintaining Israel's qualitative military edge. At the same time, the United States must never permit Iran to develop a nuclear weapon.
She chatting that she cooking with gas. She cooking with gas.
Enforced through robust monitoring, inspection, and verification.
Mm.
And if Iran cheats, there's no question, Iran must be held accountable.
I know that's right.
And so as Iran inserts itself in Syria, including through the deployment of advanced military equipment and missiles that threaten Israel,
yeah, that's
we
right.
must not tolerate Iran fanning the flames of instability and violence in the region.
Teach.
In addition, Russia's explicit support for these actions is a direct threat to American interests, and it makes Israel less secure. So I say, the Trump administration must be crystal clear with Putin. Russia must stop its support of Iran. This is a threat to the United States, and it is a threat to Israel.
My God. It's not just me, man. She could have literally just gave this speech. Talk about a Trump administration and Trump about to be in the seat again. Talk about Hezbollah. Talk about ICE. She could have literally just gave this speech, y'all. This is crazy how Tom be rhyming like that. No. Support the movement, gang. $ his ghetto point of view. $ his ghetto point of view. $ his ghetto point of view. So thankful, appreciative, and humbled by every $, $10, $100, $500, $1,000 donation that come through You guys, y'all the real MVP. Let's keep going.
A second area where I believe we can expand our cooperation is cybersecurity and technology. As cyber
Here we go.
attacks expose the vulnerabilities of our most essential systems and infrastructure, the United States and Israel must strengthen our innovation and technological capacities and our defenses together. Israel has more scientists and startups per capita than any other country in the world.
I wonder why that is.
I'm proud that California, building on the 2014 commitments made by Prime Minister Netanyahu and Governor Brown, has facilitated many of these technological partnerships and investments.
Oh, not Governor Brown facilitating partnerships and investments with Israel. Not Governor Brown facilitating partnerships and investments with Israel while she is there in California. Not downtown Willie Brown. Oh, the man who gave her the playbook and showed her how to run the play. I like this, man. I like this.
Today, Tel Aviv and Silicon Valley are inextricably and technology. To Israel.
Fair mother flipping use. Let's go. United States of JAiPAC numero 3. United States of JAiPAC part 3.
A second area where I believe we can expand our cooperation is cybersecurity and technology. As cyber attacks expose the vulnerabilities of our most essential systems and infrastructure, the United States and Israel must strengthen our innovation and technological capacities and our defenses together. Israel has more scientists and startups per capita than any other country in the world.
Is that right?
And I'm proud that California, building on the 2014 commitments made by Prime Minister Netanyahu and Governor Brown, has facilitated many of these technological partnerships and investments.
Downtown Willie Brown and Benjamin Netanyahu in bed together. Of course. It all makes sense now.
Ensuring that our two countries remain on the cutting edge. And when I met with Prime Minister...
Can it all be so simple, man? Can it all be so simple, man? Everything is lining up and folding in together into one big AIPAC sandwich. Y'all see all these layers? Y'all see all these layers? 2014, Bibi Netanyahu and Willie Brown had worked together. 2016, Trump in office while she lining herself up. 2020, she in office with Biden. Now 2024, she transitioning back to Trump. The United States of JAiPAC, man. In between there, you got Barack Obama. On top of the sandwich, you got Barack Obama as the pickles and the onions on top of the meat. You know what I'm saying? Before him, you got Bush being the bread. If you so inclined to put a olive and a toothpick on top, this is a layered sandwich of Democrats and Republicans working together. This is a JAiPAC sandwich. You understand me? Good eat. Scrum diddly yumptious. Let's go.
Netanyahu last month, I was proud to discuss California's cyber advancements and the way we can expand those joint efforts.
Whoa.
And the third area of growing cooperation is water security. So as any Californian in this hall can tell you, water is the lifeblood of our economies and our communities. And because of California's history of droughts, we know we cannot take water for granted.
So y'all letting them see the sky?
We could not have a better example than Israel. Yes.
Y'all practicing Israel cloud
is a
seeding?
nation that is 60% desert,
Mm.
yet so water secure that it exports water to its neighbors. And Israel has been a great partner to California.
Don't miss that. Don't miss that.
Tel Aviv and Silicon Valley are inextricably linked.
Tel Aviv and Silicon Valley are inextricably linked. Damn.
And when I met with Prime Minister Netanyahu last month, I was proud to discuss California's cyber advance. California, building on the 2014 commitments made by Prime Minister Netanyahu and Governor Brown, has facilitated many of these technological partnerships and investments. Today,
I literally turned myself down before I started talking. That was crazy. Then y'all have fools on YouTube who say stuff like, oh, what does it matter that she was with Willie Brown? Sir, she wouldn't be vice president. She wouldn't have been able to run for president if she didn't get down with downtown. Go downtown with Willie Brown. Go downtown on Willie Brown. You understand? Wouldn't have been no Kamala Harris if she ain't go down on Willie Brown. Round and round and round. She ain't spread that brown on Willie Brown and go downtown. She ain't go downtown with the brown. Go downtown on all that brown. She ain't go downtown on all that brown, Willie. If she didn't go downtown on all that brown, Willie, she'd never be here talking to AiPAC. Stop playing like you don't see it. He taught her how to run the play. Keep it going.
Silicon Valley are inextricably linked. Startups per capita than any other country in the world. And I'm proud that California, building on the 2014 commitments made by Prime Minister Netanyahu and Governor Brown, has facilitated many of these technological partnerships and investments. Today, Tel Aviv and Silicon Valley are inextricably linked.
She's smiling, boy.
Two countries remain on the cutting edge. And
Tel Aviv and Silicon Valley. Damn.
I was proud to discuss California's cyber advancements and the way we can expand those joint efforts. And the third area of growing cooperation is water security. So as any Californian in this hall can tell you, water is the lifeblood of our economies and our communities. And because of California's history of droughts, we know we cannot take water for granted. In this regard, we could not have a better example than Israel. Yes. Israel is a nation that is 60% desert, yet so water secure that it exports water to its neighbors.
Didn't know that.
And Israel has been a great partner to California in this area. Take, for example, Carlsbad, California, where an Israeli company built a desalination plant which provides 50 million gallons of water to 400,000 Californians every day. So while the United States and Israel are geographically separated by water, we can also be bound by water. And I'm eager to champion these three partnerships in the Senate now and in the future, and to ensure that California plays a key role in the relationship between the United States and Israel. So in conclusion, AiPAC, we all know these are difficult times. I stand here clear-eyed about the dangers of division in our country and in our world, understanding why a state for the Jewish people is so essential. And I also stand here as someone with a lifelong commitment to justice, a lifelong faith in the power of democratic values, and the innate oneness and goodness of human beings. And I believe that it's the common ground that unites so many of us. Values like faith, family, respect, and empathy that will see us through. Just look, for example, at the response when Jewish cemeteries in St. Louis and Philadelphia were so horribly vandalized. Muslim activists quickly raised money to restore the headstones, with one organizer posting on social media, quote, "I want to ask all Muslims to reach out to your Jewish brothers and sisters and stand together against this bigotry." Common ground. Look at the words of Elie Wiesel, who I knew personally and loved, when he said, "The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference." Common ground. Look at Israel's Supreme Court, that beautiful place I visited, upon which sits a Tunisian judge alongside an Israeli Arab Christian and a Brooklyn-born Israeli, all presided over by a female Chief Justice. Common ground. Or look at my own life, where a daughter of a South Asian mother and a Jamaican father concluded her own interfaith wedding with her husband, breaking a glass and everyone yelling Mazel Tov. Tunisian judge.
Oh, she's Jewish. So she ran the play. She went downtown on Willie Brown, and then she got that Mazel Tov cosign.
Common ground.
Ava, Avina, Ava, Avina.
Or look at my own life.
Oh, Lord.
Where a daughter of a South Asian mother and a Jamaican father
No star.
concluded her own interfaith wedding with her husband, breaking a glass and everyone yelling Mazel Tov.
So her husband was there for that AIPAC, boy. She had no problem bringing her husband to that AIPAC.
So
why he wasn't at Howard.
And if we embrace those values that have always made the United States or look at my own life.
Let's
We're
look.
a daughter of a South Asian mother and a Jamaican father.
Y'all got some overtime today, boy.
With her husband.
Support the movement, support the movement, support the movement. $ hits, Ghetto point of view. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the support. Thank you for your support.
So that's
Appreciate
who we
you.
are. And if we embrace those values that have always made the United States and Israel great, then I believe our two nations will continue to move forward together for years and years to come. I thank you, AIPAC. Thank you.
Gang. Whew. We're going to take a quick break. That was deep, family. That was mother flipping deep. That was amazing. All I can say is, can a nigga ball a French fry?
Don't understand is that if it's so offensive to them, then why do they say it over and over again?
So Riley said the N-word before you did that morning.
He says it every morning. He calls me nigga. He calls the other kids nigga. He calls himself nigga all the time. Nigga this, nigga that. Nigga please. Bitch nigga. Nigga, have you lost your mind? Nigga, check that hoe. Nigga, you bullshitting. Break yourself, nigga. He says it so much I don't even notice it anymore. Last week in lunch, Riley says to a classmate, "Can a nigga borrow a French fry?" And my first thought wasn't, oh my God, he said the word, the N-word. It was, now how is a nigga gonna borrow a fry? Nigga, is you gonna give it back? I'm telling you, my inside voice didn't talk like that before he got in my class.
He said, I said it first. Man, I'm telling you, I seen the hatred in his eyes the first time I walked into class. All he saw when he looked at me was a black nigga.
Where did that come from?
A license plate says it's from the federal government.
Attention urban poor.
The Federal Health Department, in conjunction with the Center for Minority Control, is here today with complimentary flu shots. Complimentary means free.
Free needles? God is good.
Hey, whoa. What the hell, Hop, are you people doing? Have you forgotten all your conspiracy learnings? Listen, the government uses products to test all kinds of
Have you
poisons.
forgotten?
Syphilis, crack, the McChitlins.
Not the
Chitlins made me
McChitlin.
mix sick.
Now you see what I'm
The
talking about.
McBubbles. Give me the McBubble guts.
This is a government of the people, by the people,
I had
and
the
for
McDuties.
people, and with the people. I'm sure there's nothing to fear.
Thank you, Mrs. Stubbs.
How do you know my name?
Because we're your friend. Now come on over here and drop your pants.
No, Muriel, it's a trick.
It's just a flu shot. Don't listen to that fool.
Aha! Flu, F-L-U. Fool, F-U-L. Coincidence? I don't think so. Come on.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Gang. I hope you have enjoyed this one. We went in a little bit of overtime today. You know what I'm saying? It was just a lot I wanted to make sure we ran down and got through and got real clear, so that sandwich, that correlation, that connection between these two can definitely be seen and be seen. I mean, the proverbial two wings of the same bird conversation that a lot of people like to have. You definitely make that case when it comes to the United States JAiPAC. Know what I mean? And again, they with the independents too. So tail feathers, all that. Good eating. But family, you know where to get in touch if you have any questions, comments, critiques, criticisms. Want to tell me how crazy I am? You want to pray for YouTube to throw me off, and other networks and platforms to throw me off as well? You want to tell me how horrible I am and how much of a hateful person I am? His ghetto point of view at gmail.com. His ghetto point of view at gmail.com. His ghetto point of view at gmail. All right. .com, family. Thankful to the Most High for all the blessings and all the lessons. Hallelujah. 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 Tap in with me on TikTok. TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Also on IG. Bear with me, family. If I'm a little slow getting back to you, I am a one-man band man. You understand me? One-man band man. But if you just into the traditional emails, his ghetto point of view at gmail.com. His ghetto point of view at gmail.com. Some new dropping every week. Tap in and check a brother out. Also be in the Discord spaces if you so inclined to travel and peruse those places as well. But family, this has been fun. This has been enlightening. This has been, I hope, for you, entertaining to some degree and educational. I hope I provided some edutainment to help you get through a bit of your day, whether it's them sets at the gym, that run on the track or the treadmill, that 30 minutes on the bike, that 20 minutes on the bag, whatever you doing with your day, that long shift at work, you driving that truck, you in that warehouse, you painting that painting, you coding that website, you working on the back end, you design architecture, whatever you doing, you using AutoCAD, you soldering, you glue gunning, you drilling, you putting pipes together, you changing fuses, you cleaning out air ducts, whatever you doing with your day, I pray the Most High bless you and your family. Excuse me. Scratch. I am thankful to the blessings the Most High is sending to you and your family, and I'm always forever and grateful and indebted to the blessings the Most High continues to send me and my family way. Getting up out of here, family. Catch you on the flip side. Catch you at the next one. This has been wonderful. Love you, gang. I love you, gang. I love you, gang. Because you could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me. And I truly appreciate that. Peace and love to the tribe.
Thank you for coming. I'll see you in hell.
Peace and blessings, family. We out of here.